Stories are amazing.
Yes.
No, we were talking about a story about healing, because you want to work on healing, right? You want to work more with healing. And in Scotland they have a character, and his name is the Old Grey Magician, or the Black Druid. That's also how they call him. And we don't really know what he is. He's a shapeshifter. Sometimes he's amazing and he's this kind of hero who helps people and kings and warriors. And on the other hand, he can also have this feeling like, this is a right to me and I'm just gonna release hell on you. So he's this kind of like bad good guy and good bad guy. It's a bit... So he's also a shapeshifter, so he can become a bird or things like that, which is pretty practical. And at some point he was just wandering around in the woods and he found this young lad. He was only just beyond these rites of passage. He was just a man. And he was dreaming, because he was looking into the ponds, he was looking at the flowers, and he was just wondering. And the Grey Magician walked up to him and said, "Would you like to learn how to heal people? If you come to me, then I will teach you. There's nothing more I want," said the young man. And so, for years and years and years, the Grey Magician told him everything he knew, until one day, when all the knowledge was used. He let the boy stand under a high waterfall, naked, with his arms stretched. And when he became too strong, the waterfall, and when it felt like hammers falling on his shoulders, he walked underneath of it. An old Grey Magician said, "I can't teach you anything else. Nothing more. You'll have to go in the woods, and you'll have to learn everything from nature itself." And so, completely naked, he started walking into the woods. And no one heard of him. And those who did heard of him thought that he was this kind of creepy, not really trustworthy hermit, someone who just lived on himself. Years passed by, but the old Grey Magician knew that he would become the greatest healer that ever existed. And at some point, he was needed. He was needed because one of the Fianna, the warrior band, was wounded. The fastest runner of the group was wounded in his leg, and the cut was so deep that it was not to be healed. The blade had been poisoned. The scarf looked black and green with pus coming out of it. The smell could even faint a strong man. All the doctors said that the only option was to amputate his leg. But the man would not agree. He would rather die than lose his leg. Out of nowhere, the old Grey Magician appeared and said, "Well, I might have the guy. Go into the woods, and there you will find a young man wandering naked. He can help you." Fianna started looking for him, and indeed they found him. They brought him to the palace. And when the young man was standing in front of his patient, he looked him straight into the eyes and asked, "Do you believe I can heal you?" "I believe you can," the young man said. "Then I will do what I can." He ordered the Fianna to get into the woods and to find a rotten deer. He gave them the exact location. They had to chop off the right leg, and they had to bring it to him in a cloth that he had taken with him. When they brought it, he stumped it 2 times, and maggots fell out of the flesh. He took the maggots and put it on the wound, and he put leaves on it and a bandage. He kept it on there for 1 day. Next day when he took it off, the wound was still ugly, but the pus was gone. The green was gone and it wasn't that black anymore. They burned the cloth and they burned the maggots. Second day, he put the maggots on again, but for 2 days. And when they took it off, there was only fresh flesh left. And then they burned it again, of course. And then they put it on a new bandage, but instead of the maggots, he used the jelly of bees as an ointment. He put it over it, and he kept it on, I think, for 2-3 days. I wouldn't trust me as a doctor, but and then after that he did the same bandage, but with the honey of the bees. Kept it on for 2 days. And then the last one was from the pollen from specific flowers, crushed to powder. And they put that on the wound, covered it, and with water of a sacred well. And the man said that he had to keep it on there for 3 full days and not take it off. And then he would be able to run again. So they did, and there was no scar to see anymore. He had totally recovered, and he was still the fastest runner of the Fianna. The young man, his job completed, decided it was time to go back home. He walked into the woods, into everything he loved, until he was needed again as the greatest healer that ever existed. So.
Cute.
Cute. Rotten maggots in here.
For sharing that.
That's a very old story from George